It's hard to go down a water slide and not have fun, but there are a few that go above and beyond to reach for heights and speeds that no one else has ever thought was possible. These world record holding slides and water parks are some of the coolest on the planet. Welcome back to Top 5 Central, where today we're going to look at some of the craziest water slide world records that you won't believe exist. Action Park has had a long and interesting history, including the world's most dangerous looping slide, but there's one thing they can be proud of. They currently hold the world record for the world's longest water slide. You might expect an extremely long water slide to be incredibly tall or fast, but no, this water slide is basically just a really long slip and slide. Whenever Action Park pops up in the news, you know one of two things has happened: something terrible or something seriously incredible, and this long water slide definitely fits in the second of those two categories. In Vernon, New Jersey, the water park constructed a 2,000-foot-long water slide at the top of a hill in the fields. Apparently, the ride could take between 60 to 90 seconds to go from start to finish, depending on the rider, and uses 1,000 gallons of water every hour to operate, which makes sense considering how long it is. This ride is so long that the riders actually have to access it with a cable car. You then jump onto the slide with a mat and ride it down to the bottom, over natural hills, and under what looks like the old fence for the park's boundaries. You then go over one last little jump at the end before plunging into a small pool that is used to slow you down. It's an idea only the guys at Action Park would come up with, and has held the record for the world's longest slide since 2015. The record for the most people down a water slide in 1 hour is a surprisingly contested world record. In 2013, it was held by Crystal Beach Pool in Madison before being stolen by Sandcastle Water Park in the seaside city of Blackpool. It was then stolen again at a water park called Goldfields Oasis, where they managed to get 424 people down a slide in a single day. But in 2016, Sandcastle Water Park went all out and managed to claim the record once again, a record they've held for the past 3 years. The park, found on Blackpool's South Promenade, decided to retake the record in 2016 as a celebration of their 30th anniversary. The ride they used was the Dueling Dragons, a ride that allows 2 people to go down at once in a race to see who gets to the bottom first. It's a pretty good idea when you're trying to break a record that involves as many riders as possible. In total, they managed to get 529 people down the slide, smashing the previous record by over 100 riders. While the Ruck water slide is no longer around, it was closed on August 7, 2016 after a tragic accident. We still have to include it on this list as it was the world's tallest water slide when it was opened in 2014, beating out the ride Kilimanjaro. The announcements for verrückt, which is a word which translates from German to mean crazy or insane, were made in 2012. The owners of the park said that they were going to make the world's tallest and fastest water slide in the world, giving no further details at the time to avoid other parks quickly throwing together even bigger slides to steal the record from them. The ride was so big that before the ride was even open, the Guinness Book of World Records had to concede that the ride was indeed the biggest in the world. The ride was truly gigantic, with the first drop equivalent to 17 floors in a building, with a second 5-story hill after the first drop. Riders had to climb 264 steps to reach the top of the ride, which was an incredible 168 feet in the air. Just for some context, that's taller than both Niagara Falls or the foot-to-torch portion of the Statue of Liberty. While Action Park may have the record for the world's longest water slide, there's another world's longest out there, though this one is a water coaster. There aren't really many differences between a true water slide and a water coaster. One just uses lifts from lift hills or water jets or tracks like a roller coaster would. Either way, the Mammoth Coaster at Holiday World and Splash and Safari in Indiana is the world's longest. Opened in 2012 and based on the long-extinct Mammoth, this ride is a colossal 1,764 feet long, beating out the previous record, which was held by Holiday World's slightly smaller Wildebeest water coaster. The ride is just as fun as it is long, featuring hairpin turns, giant drops, and water motors to help keep the boat moving at rapid speeds. There are 3 major drops on the ride, with the first one sending its riders down a surprisingly steep 32-foot hill. The Massive Monster Blaster is another water coaster, though this one doesn't hold any records for how long it is. This coaster is all about how tall it is. Named after the German word for massive, this colossal coaster was first opened on June 22, 2016, and stretches 81 feet up into the air. Riders lie down on a small conveyor belt in those boats, which launches them down straight into the first drop. Each drop on the ride is pretty steep and leads into a patented piece of technology that the park calls a Master Blaster. These master blasters are what make this ride a water coaster instead of a water slide, as they help propel the boat you're on up into the next section of the ride. They're basically blasts of water that force the two-boat faster and further up the ride at a speed that water slides just wouldn't be able to compete. Considering the Varuk waterslide is no longer open, the world record for the world's tallest waterslide ended up going back to its previous owner, the Kilimanjaro. This waterslide has now held its record since 2002, which is impressive for any record. The Kilimanjaro slide is found in Brazil and stretches up to just under 164 feet. Unlike most of the incredible slides we've seen on this list so far, the Kilimanjaro is a body slide. That means you don't ride in any boats or tubes, it's just you and the slide. Despite not having any boat, the ride is still incredibly quick, sending riders down its gigantic height at top speed of around 57 miles per hour. Keep in mind, body and slide, and that's it. Named after the tallest mountain in Africa, it's no surprising that the Brazilian water park wanted to make Kilimanjaro incredibly tall. In fact, this ride is so tall and fast that according to some reports, up to 1 in 3 people who climb their way up to the peak of the ride end up chickening out before they can slide down it. The Magic Eye waterslide isn't just one of the longest water slides in Sweden, it's the longest tube water slide in the world. The slide is truly a sight to behold and looks incredibly trippy from the inside. When you start riding down the slide on your yellow inflatable donut, you'll notice all the holes poked in the slide itself, allowing light to filter into the long tube from the outside, which gives a pretty trippy effect as you're sliding down. But as you ride down the tube, things get even stranger, sometimes switching between the red dots and lines across the entire length of the tube, making it even more disorienting as you travel down the interior of the ride. If there's one thing we know about world records, it's that they don't stay around forever. Eventually, all records have to be broken, and it looks like the record for the world's longest slide is going to be smashed pretty soon. While Action Park's 2,000-foot-long water slide is impressive, it doesn't hold a candle to the 3,740-foot-long slide at the Escape theme park in Penang. The ride will take guests around 4 minutes to get from the top to the bottom, and will start around 229 feet in the air. The slide takes its riders down through the trees and forests of the area, before eventually bringing its riders into a large swimming pool at the bottom. According to the CEO of Escape Theme Park, there had never been an intention to break the world record for the longest slide in the world while it was in construction, but they were very proud of the achievement anyway. What they really were focused on was making a slide that also protected the environment, winding through the trees instead of chopping them down, all to preserve the surrounding nature. There's one thing everyone thought was impossible to do in the world of water slides, and that's a true vertical loop water slide. It sounds insane, something that's incredibly dangerous, and something that should never be tried. In fact, the only time it was tried was at Action Park, a ride that was open for a week and then closed due to safety concerns. The Cannonball Loop at Action Park may have been what inspired these dreams of a truly vertical slide, and it's a dream that was completed in 2016. The world's first truly vertical looping water slide is the Sky Caliber, which can be found at none other than Action Park in Vernon, New Jersey. The ride was constructed by a company known as Sky Turtle, who only went on to develop a 90-degree vertical loop because the company Aqualoop had snapped up all the patents on loops up to 70 degrees. The real challenge for a vertical loop is friction. If your rider's skin or bathing suits slow them down too much, then they won't be able to make their way around the loop, which could lead to serious injury. This was actually solved by completely removing the chance of a person touching the slide and slowing them down. Instead, riders are put in a small pod, which is in constant contact with the ride through foam runners. Tall and long water slides are cool, but everyone knows that what you really want from a high-octane theme park ride is speed, and the water slide that has every other one beat in speed is the Insano at Beach Park in Brazil. The Insano doesn't use any gimmicks or special tricks to get people to ride it because it knows exactly what the people want, an impossibly quick and scary ride. It stretches 134 feet into the air, just barely missing out on being the world's tallest water slide as well as the fastest. What makes this ride so fast in comparison to other tall water slides is the steepness of the drop. The drop is so steep that even though riders have to travel 134 feet down to the ground, the ride actually just takes 4 or 5 seconds, with riders traveling up to 65 miles per hour at its fastest point, only just outpacing the Kilimanjaro. The ride has been around for a while too. It was first constructed back in 1989 and has been attracting daredevils from across the world ever since. Riders have claimed that the ride is so steep that you basically just fly down it, barely even touching the plastic of the ride itself. Because of that, there are a lot of special safety precautions in place, meaning riders are only allowed to slide down it in one position. You have to lie on your back with your arms and legs crossed. Doing it any other way could be incredibly dangerous. But hey, thanks for watching. Make sure to check out this video to see 10 water slides that people built in their backyards. It's absolutely insane. I'll see you guys there.